Marcus Aurelius and Stoicism. What if the key to peace wasn't in changing your life, but in mastering your mind? What if the greatest strength wasn't found in muscle or money, but in the stillness of thought? And what if one man, born into power, could teach us how to live simply, humbly, and wisely, even today? Welcome to the timeless world of Marcus Aurelius, a Roman emperor, philosopher, and one of history's most profound teachers of Stoicism. In this episode, we're diving into 10 powerful life lessons from Marcus Aurelius. But this isn't just about dusty old quotes or ancient scrolls. These are practical, soul-shifting ideas that can change how you face everyday challenges, from stress and heartbreak to self-doubt and modern chaos. We're not just learning about Stoicism, we're stepping into it, breathing it in, seeing how a man who ruled the most powerful empire on earth taught himself to rule his own mind, and how you can too. This episode is for the thinker, the dreamer, the overwhelmed student, the ambitious entrepreneur, the soul searcher who wants more calm in the storm. It's for anyone who's tired of feeling tossed around by emotions and wants to build an inner fortress of strength and clarity. We'll walk through the real words of Marcus Aurelius, his reflections and meditations, and bring them to life. Not as a history lesson, but as a blueprint for living in today's unpredictable world. So take a deep breath. Let's leave behind the noise for a moment and step into a story that began 2,000 years ago, but was written for you. To begin our journey, we start with lesson number 1, a reminder that your life is shaped not by what happens around you, but by what happens within you. Ready to meet the mind of a philosopher king? Lesson 1. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Let's pause on that. It's not just a quote, it's a turning point. Imagine how different your life might feel if you truly believed that your peace doesn't depend on what's happening around you, but how you choose to interpret it. Marcus knew chaos. He ruled during wars, pandemics, and betrayal. But instead of letting the storm outside consume him, he turned inward, writing quietly in the pages of meditations, reminding himself, it's not the event that harms you, it's your judgment of it. Now think about today. Maybe your boss is unfair, a friend let you down, plans collapsed. It's easy to blame the world, but the Stoic path asks, can you control your thoughts about it? Can you step back, breathe, and choose a calmer response? This is the first and most essential Stoic lesson. Your mind is the only true kingdom you'll ever rule. You can't always control traffic, rejection, illness, or loss, but you can control how you meet those things. Will you spiral or stand tall within yourself? And that's where the power lies. Not in pretending life is perfect, but in facing reality with a steady heart. So next time life throws a curveball, try asking, what part of this is mine to control? And what can I release? It's not weakness to let go, it's wisdom. And that brings us to lesson number 2, a powerful call to stay present and make the most of this very moment. Because as Marcus reminds us, you live only one life, and it's happening now. Lesson 2, waste no more time arguing what a good person should be. Be one. Marcus Aurelius wrote, waste no more time arguing what a good man should be one. Let that sink in. It's easy, so easy, to spend our lives thinking about what we should do, who we should be. We scroll through advice, watch videos, debate ideas, argue online, reflect endlessly. But Stoicism calls you to something different. Not louder thoughts, louder actions. Marcus was a philosopher, yes, but also an emperor with responsibilities most of us can't imagine. And yet, he didn't use his power to preach. He used it to practice, day by day, choice by choice. He believed that goodness isn't something you talk about, it's something you live. Every moment is a chance to prove your character, not with words but with actions. So ask yourself, are you being honest today? Are you showing up with patience, humility, courage? Because the world doesn't need more talkers. It needs people who live with integrity, especially when no one's watching. Stoicism doesn't care if you're praised. It cares that you live rightly. It whispers, You already know what's good. Now be it. You don't need permission. You don't need a perfect plan. You just need to begin. So what does it actually mean to live each day with that kind of presence and action? In lesson number 3, Marcus reminds us that life is short, and it's happening now, not someday. Let's explore what that means. Lesson 3, do not act as if you had 10,000 years to live. Marcus Aurelius urged, do not act as if you had 10,000 years to live. While you live, while it is in your power, be good. This is not just poetic advice, it's a challenge. We all delay. We all fall into the trap of someday. We say, I'll pursue my dream later. I'll apologize tomorrow. I'll start that habit next week. But Marcus calls us out. Life isn't endless. Time isn't guaranteed. Think about it. How many moments have slipped by while you waited for the perfect time? The truth is, we never know how much time we have, but we do have this moment. And in Stoicism, this moment is sacred. Marcus reminds us, stop waiting, stop stalling. The work of living a good, honest, meaningful life is not something to begin later. It begins now. So if there's something you've been putting off, something your soul knows is right, what are you waiting for? Make the call, say the words, take the step. The clock is always ticking, but that doesn't mean we should panic. It means we should prioritize. Let go of distractions, rise above trivial complaints, focus on what matters, and live today as if it's your last. Not in fear, but in clarity. Because time isn't the enemy. Forgetting its value is. Up next is lesson number 4. An honest look at criticism, insults, and how to stay grounded when others try to pull you down. Lesson 4. If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. Marcus Aurelius once said, if you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it, and this you have the power to revoke at any moment. That one sentence holds a mirror to our modern world. Someone criticizes you, your heart races. A plan falls apart, you panic. A friend forgets your birthday, you feel rejected. But the Stoics teach us something powerful. Events don't hurt us. Our interpretation of those events does. Let that really land. It's not the comment. It's your belief that it meant something about you. It's not the delay, it's your expectation that things should have gone differently. Marcus is urging us. Question the story you're telling yourself, because that story is where your suffering lives. The outside world is unpredictable. People will disappoint. Situations will twist and turn. But the one place you always have power is your perspective. Think about this. If someone calls you a name, but you truly don't believe it, does it actually wound you? Non bother. The insult only stings when you hand it meaning. That's the gift Marcus is offering, a kind of mental judo where you don't have to fight every problem. Just shift your response to it. This doesn't mean you become emotionless. Stoicism isn't about being cold or passive. It's about choosing your emotional battles wisely. So the next time something frustrates you, pause. Ask, is this thing truly causing my distress? Or is it how I'm thinking about it? And remember, you can change your thoughts. You can release the story. You can choose peace, even when the world seems chaotic. Marcus Aurelius wasn't immune to pain, but he practiced this again and again, distancing himself from impulsive reactions and returning to calm. That's your invitation too. You can suffer endlessly from the opinions of others, or you can reclaim your power by seeing them as just noise. You can stew over the unfairness, or you can focus on how you respond. It's not easy, but it's liberating. In the next lesson, Marcus takes us deeper into the theme of self-mastery, showing us that real power doesn't come from status, strength, or being feared, but from ruling your inner world with discipline and grace. Shall we? Lesson 5. The best revenge is not to be like your enemy. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The best revenge is not to be like your enemy." Now pause and sit with that, because in a world where we're told to clap back, cancel, or retaliate, this advice sounds like it came from another planet. But it didn't. It came from a man who ruled one. Marcus wasn't talking theory. He lived through betrayal, manipulation, and injustice. And yet, instead of hardening, he chose to hold firm in his character. Because here's the truth. When you mirror someone's cruelty, you become a copy of the very thing that hurt you. You lose your peace, your principles, and your power. Stoicism reminds us that self-mastery is stronger than revenge. Ask yourself, what's more powerful, snapping back at someone who wronged you or standing so tall in your values that their behavior can't touch you? Marcus is telling us that your dignity is the real triumph, that no matter how someone treats you, you can always choose your response. And in that space between action and reaction, character is forged. That doesn't mean you tolerate abuse. Stoicism doesn't ask you to be passive. It asks you to rise. Rise with wisdom, not vengeance. With restraint, not rage. When someone offends you, that's a test. Will you let them drag you into the mud, or will you walk away clean? The best revenge is not to be like your enemy. It's not about weakness. It's about strength that refuses to be corrupted. It's choosing peace when chaos tempts you. It's walking forward when drama tries to pull you sideways. You want real power? Real freedom? Don't let anyone else decide who you are. Don't become bitter just because someone else was, because your inner peace is priceless, and Marcus wants you to protect it at all costs. In the next lesson, Marcus Aurelius reminds us that challenges are not interruptions, they are the path. Obstacles, he says, don't block the way. They are the way, and what he shares next might just change how you see every struggle in your life. Lesson 6. The obstacle is the way. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." Now pause with me. That problem you're facing? That wall you've been hitting again and again? What if it's not in your way? What if it is the way? See, Marcus wasn't a motivational speaker. He didn't say this from the comfort of a peaceful life. He said it while facing war, illness, loss, betrayal, real crushing challenges. And yet he believed that every obstacle held the seeds of progress. To the Stoic, adversity is not something to escape. It's the forge that shapes you. Think of a fire. The wind may try to snuff it out, but if it's strong enough, it will feed on that wind and burn even brighter. Marcus is telling you that hardship isn't your enemy. It's your path to strength. When something blocks your road, don't give up. Ask instead, how can I turn this into fuel? A setback in school? Maybe it's teaching you discipline. A heartbreak? Maybe it's building emotional courage. Failure? Perhaps it's guiding you to something far greater. And here's what makes this Stoic truth so powerful. It puts the power back in your hands. You don't need the world to get easier. You just need to grow stronger. You don't need the storm to stop. You need to anchor your roots so deep that even in the wind you stand tall. So the next time life throws a challenge at you, remember what Marcus is whispering. This isn't a dead end. It's a doorway. Your job isn't to resent the obstacle. It's to rise to meet it. And what helps you rise even in darkness? It's knowing where true happiness comes from. In our next lesson, Marcus Aurelius reveals the secret to lasting contentment, and it's not what the world usually tells us. Lesson 7. True happiness comes from within. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself, in your way of thinking." Let that settle for a second. Not money, not fame, not a perfect partner or a flawless body. He says happiness is already inside you. The only thing that needs to change is your way of thinking. In a world flooded with noise, ads telling you to buy more, influencers flashing highlight reels, schools and jobs pushing you to do more, be more. It's easy to believe that peace is something out there. But Marcus knew better. As Emperor of Rome, he had access to every luxury imaginable. Yet in the quiet pages of his meditations, he returned to the same truth. Nothing external can truly satisfy us, not for long. You can chase every dream, hit every goal, and still feel empty. Unless your mindset changes. Stoicism teaches us that real joy doesn't come from what happens around us, but from the strength, clarity, and calm we build inside ourselves. It's the kind of joy that doesn't vanish when plans fall apart, that doesn't crumble when someone criticizes you, that doesn't depend on likes, applause, or attention. It's the joy of self-respect, of living in alignment with your values, of knowing you showed up with kindness, courage, and wisdom, even if no one else saw it. Marcus reminds us, what you think, what you choose, what you value, that's your power. So how do you start building this kind of happiness? You start by letting go of the idea that your peace is out there. You practice gratitude. You focus on your breath. You pay attention to your thoughts. You train your mind like a muscle. Little by little, you stop being a prisoner of circumstance and you become a master of response. And that is what makes the Stoic path so powerful. It doesn't require wealth, fame, or even perfect health, just intention, reflection, and practice. So today, ask yourself, what am I relying on for happiness? And what might shift if I turn inward instead? Because you don't need to wait for life to be perfect. You just need to live from the inside out. And speaking of living from the inside out, what happens when you stop needing praise or validation from others? In lesson number 8, Marcus reveals the secret to staying grounded when everyone around you is chasing approval. Let's keep going. Lesson 8, do not seek praise or approval from others. In a world obsessed with likes, followers, and validation, it might seem impossible to live without needing praise. But Marcus Aurelius reminds us with Stoic clarity, it never ceases to amaze me. We all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinion than our own. Sit with that. You wake up each day inside your own mind, live inside your own body, and yet you still hand over your peace to the opinions of others. Why? Marcus challenges us to let go of this craving. He teaches, if you live for applause, you become a slave to it. If you chase approval, your values twist and bend to match what others expect. But if you know yourself truly and live in alignment with your principles, then the noise of judgment fades. Because here's the truth. Praise is fleeting. The same crowd that cheers for you today might turn on you tomorrow. Public opinion is a wave. You can't surf it forever. But your integrity, your quiet choices, the way you treat others when no one's watching, that's the stuff real peace is made of. Stoicism invites us to shift from outward validation to inner alignment. So how do you know if you're living rightly? You don't need applause. You just need to look inward. Are your actions rooted in wisdom? Are you choosing virtue over vanity? Marcus didn't write meditations for an audience. He wrote it for himself, a private journal of self-correction and calm. He wasn't performing for others. He was becoming something solid. And you can too. You don't need to post about every good deed. You don't need someone to notice every act of kindness or strength. When your actions come from the right place, they speak loudly, even if no one hears them. This doesn't mean you should never care about feedback, but it does mean you must ask, am I living by my compass or someone else's? The freedom you're searching for, the deep, unshakable peace, begins the moment you stop performing and start being. And that brings us to lesson number 9, a lesson that runs deeper than desire or comfort. Marcus reminds us that the secret to strength and serenity lies not in more, but in less. Let's talk about simplicity and why mastering your desires is the key to mastering your life. Lesson 9. Simplicity is power. Very little is needed to make a happy life, Marcus Aurelius once wrote. It is all within yourself, in your way of thinking. Let that settle in. In a world drowning in distractions, where hustle is glorified and comparison never sleeps, Marcus invites us into a quieter truth, one that cuts through the noise with stunning simplicity. You don't need more, you need less. Not less ambition, but less clutter. Not less connection, but fewer empty conversations. Not less passion, but fewer pointless pursuits. Simplicity isn't about having nothing. It's about holding on to only what matters. In Stoicism, this is where strength lives, not in adding, but in subtracting. Marcus wasn't writing this from a monastery or mountaintop. He was emperor of Rome, surrounded by wealth, power, noise, and yet in the chaos, he turned inward and wrote about simplicity, about calm, about staying rooted in what's essential. He knew, when you try to have everything, you lose yourself. So what if today you chose a little less? What if you stopped chasing every opinion, every gadget, every goal that doesn't speak to your soul? What if you cleared the space, physically, mentally, emotionally, for what really matters? That's where you find your peace. That's where you find yourself. Simplicity is power. It creates space for clarity. It helps you hear your own voice and live on purpose, not autopilot. It's not always easy, but it's always worth it. And now, as we near the final lesson, Marcus leaves us with one last reminder, perhaps the most powerful of all. Death is not something to fear. It's something to prepare for. Let's turn to lesson number 10, the ultimate call to live deeply now. Lesson 10, Memento Mori. Remember you must die. Marcus Aurelius, in his quiet, humble handwriting, once reminded himself, you could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do, say, and think. This is Memento Mori, Latin for remember you must die. Now this might sound morbid to some ears, but to the Stoics, it was not about fear. It was about freedom. You see, Marcus wasn't obsessed with death. He was awake to life. He knew that remembering death sharpens the present. It burns away distractions. It makes every small moment meaningful. Because when you remember that life is short, you stop wasting it. You speak more kindly to the people you love. You pause before reacting with anger. You spend your hours with care, not scrolling, not complaining, but connecting, creating, becoming. Memento Mori doesn't mean you dwell on the end. It means you live while you're alive. Marcus wrote this to himself not as a warning, but as a compass, a guide to what truly matters. It helped him rule with humility, reflect with honesty, and love without delay. So what would change if you truly embrace this? Would you finally start that dream? Forgive someone? Be more present? Because here's the secret. Death is not the opposite of life. It's the thing that gives life urgency, depth, beauty. When you accept that your time is finite, you stop wasting it on what doesn't matter. That's not darkness, that's light. And this is where the Stoic path leads, not to despair, but to a life of purpose, courage, and love. Marcus Aurelius lived with the end in mind, not because he was afraid of dying, but because he was committed to truly living. And now, we've walked with Marcus through war, through doubt, through sleepless nights and quiet reflections. He gave us more than words. He gave us a map, a mirror, a method, 10 lessons, one life, a philosophy that still speaks 2,000 years later. So take this episode not just as something to hear, but as something to live. Pick one lesson, just one. Practice it today. Because wisdom isn't found in the knowing, it's found in the doing. If this journey spoke to you, leave a review, share it with someone who needs it, and subscribe so we can keep walking this path together. The world doesn't need more noise. It needs more people who live like Marcus. Thank you for listening. Now go and be the lesson.